and welcome back to Dwayne and Nedia's Food, Travel, and Fun. This is going to be a short one, and this is going to be an experiment as much for me as it is for all of you, I guess. Because someone told me about how to make vegetables, frozen vegetables, really delicious, and kind of throw everything in a sheet pan and put it in the oven. So today we're going to use a sheet pan recipe for frozen Brussels sprouts and frozen broccoli. And then I'm going to make I guess they call it a roast Dijon glaze to put over the vegetables before we put them in the oven and roast them. All right, let me go get the veggies and be right back. And so as I mentioned, if you have fresh vegetables, and I do, but I'm not going to waste the time on this recipe for the first time. I think I want to just try what that marinade is supposed to be like. It's a glaze. So I do have a bag of broccoli florets and a bag of Brussels sprouts. So let's try this recipe mainly for experiment's sake, and then we'll see what it's like. First off, we're going to make a glaze for this. And I'm checking here, but I believe it's called roasted broccoli and Brussels sprouts with a Dijon glaze. It is a marinade of sorts that we're going to make, and I do have my trusty set of measuring spoons. I am going to not measure with my heart and measure with the recipe this time because I've really never tried this. I might just add 1 extra tablespoon because the recipe was mainly for broccoli, but I'm adding the Brussels sprouts, so I'm really doubling or tripling the amount, so I will triple the amount of marinade. Okay, so first and foremost, we have 6 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. 1. And there we go with our 6. In case you're wondering what this is, it's wonderful. Totally not sponsored, but I bought this off of Amazon. It not only lets you pour in your olive oil, but because it's a dark glass container, it will keep the sunlight from impacting the freshness of the olive oil, so it won't go rancid as fast as it normally does if it were in a clear plastic or clear glass bottle. The other thing is you can pour, as you saw me do, but just by clicking on this, you can also spray from it, so you don't have to use one of those aerosol cans. All right, to that, I'm going to add 6 tablespoons of the red wine vinegar. So basically, I'm using equal amounts of olive oil and red wine vinegar in this recipe. Hope I have enough in this container. I have more at home. I should be good. Okay, here's my 6 tablespoons of red wine vinegar. I use Pompeian, Polivado. They're all pretty good. They're all basically the same. For garlic, you can use as much as you like. I'm doing like 2 tablespoons, which is the equivalent of about 3 or 4 cloves. For Dijon, I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of Dijon. I love this stuff, so this is obviously going to be a very generous tablespoon. Okay. Some crushed red pepper, because what doesn't taste better with a little crushed red pepper? And then, of course, to taste, and to kind of enhance and brighten everything, some salt. And this is my salt grinder, so it flakes the salt nicely from the sea salt that I buy. And some crushed black pepper. I tend to buy the Telecherry version. All right, and let me just get everything off of this measuring spoon. And folks, if you've never seen these spoons, they actually come in a set that are magnetized. So the spoons are all kept together and not attached like they did in the old days with that ring that you have to take things in and out of. And it stays together when you put it in your drawer. So let me get rid of that. And let's stir this up. Obviously the mustard is the thing that you really want to incorporate. The oil and the vinegar will stay separate. If there's something else that you feel strongly about adding to this, you should. I would like to add a sweetness note, so this is an extra. about a tablespoon or 2 teaspoons of honey to counteract a little of that acid. It does take on a different color, looks like this. Wow, it smells fantastic. I can smell the Dijon. I can definitely smell the garlic. And like I said, you know, don't be afraid to have a little fun with this. Stir it up pretty well. I'm going to pop my oven, and for something like this, I'm going to try 400. All right, so the oven is now preheating. I put it at 400. Not sure if that's right or wrong. Recipe didn't say anything. I got it off of an Instagram post, and it really wasn't spelled out. So I'm kind of winging it on what I think it would do. I do have a sheet pan here. This is not a huge sheet pan. I don't think I needed one. I want to try and cover the entire sheet pan. Of course, these bags are the steamable ones, and when you steam using the bags, you don't even open them. But let me get some scissors. All right. Now, Brussels sprouts are one of those things, I believe you either love them or you hate them. These are really small compared to the ones that you buy fresh, or at least the ones I buy fresh are often so large that I cut them in half. Not so with this. These bags are very convenient to have in your freezer. I love fresh veggies, but I hate when I buy them and I can't use them before they're ready to get rid of or throw out. So frozen it is, and that's why I'm experimenting with different ways of using these frozen vegetables. You actually don't lose any of these nutrients when you freeze these frozen vegetables. So they are a good deal, and they do last. You can keep them in the freezer. I am trying to incorporate more vegetables, and that includes frozen. Very much includes frozen. So this sheet pan is a quarter-size sheet pan. I have half broccoli and half of the Brussels sprouts, and I do have my marinade. All right, as soon as the oven is hot, I will pour the marinade over, and we'll get this in the oven. All right, so that is the sound of my 400-degree oven already going and pretty much ready. And basically, I believe all I need to do is spoon this marinade over these frozen vegetables, namely frozen broccoli and frozen Brussels sprouts. I'm going to try very carefully to make sure every single piece of veggie has some of this marinade on it. Obviously, some of the marinade will drip off and go down to the bottom. That's fine. Remember, these are going to roast. Certainly smells good. That bodes well. It is wetting everything, but because everything is frozen, it's not really penetrating, so I'm kind of hoping that as it roasts, I do want to roast it enough to get it tender with a slight char. I like that slightly blackened look, and I am going to use every drop of this marinade. Make sure I get everything covered. Brussels sprouts seem to be the new in veggie. It used to be something my grandmother would make, and I thought was nasty. It tasted like dirt to me, kind of like the way some people think beets taste like dirt. I thought these tasted like dirt. I've always liked cabbage, but for some reason these didn't taste like mini cabbages to me, like some people claimed it. But here we go. That looks pretty well coated at this point. And I'm liking how it smells. I'm liking that garlicky Dijon-y vinaigrette kind of thing. I am going to pop this in the oven right now, completely coated. Don't know how long it's going to take, but I am going to put it in the oven on convection for 400 and keep an eye on it. Okay, let's give this one a try. All right, and I just heard the buzzer go off. I think our vegetables should be roasted. Don't want to overdo, but I want them to look well done. Let me take them out and take a peek. Getting them out of the oven since and they've been in there for about 20, maybe 25 minutes. All right, I've just heard the timer go off. I did get a little more browning. I'm trying to be very careful not to char or burn the top, which can happen, but trust me, I think it happens a little more often with the fresh than with the frozen. So let's see how these turned out, and if it was an experiment that ended in failure, we won't make them this way again. We'll try something else. Let me go get them. Here's what the veggies look like. I gotta say, they smell pretty good. The number one thing I smell here is the Dijon, even though it has equal parts olive oil and everything else. Let me spoon some up. Let me get a spoon. Okay, so I want to try Brussels sprout, and I want to try some broccoli. And it's not even lunchtime yet, so I don't want to eat too much of this. But here's a closer look. Let me come around. And now I'm going to leave this in. This is what it looks like. First impression. Brussels sprout. It's good. A little mushy, probably because of, the tang of the vinegar and the mustard. Very good. I do think this might be better with fresh vegetables. Let me try the broccoli. But certainly a different take on veggies. Okay. Mine could use a little S&P, salt and pepper. A little more crunch. I'm not sure if putting it back in the oven will give it more crunch, or if the crunch already left with the tray because these were frozen. Anyway, not a waste. These are good. I want to have them with my dinner. These were made with frozen veggies, so if that's all you have, this is a good way of using them, and certainly better than just steaming them in the microwave. There is a nice flavor. I could use just a smidge of salt to it. I don't know where the salt went, but I could use it. Could also use a little bit more crushed red pepper, just because I do like my flavors. If you prefer more garlic, or play with it. Anyway, these are roasted Dijon broccoli with Brussels sprouts. I think I'm going to try it with fresh vegetables, maybe a cauliflower broccoli mix next time, and I'll let you know how it turns out. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting our channel, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video today. Stay tuned, more fun to come on Dwayne and Nidia, Food, Travel, and Fun, including more recipes. Thank you, and goodbye.